So there are a couple new indie games headed to the Switch that got new gameplay trailers today, and I have to share them with you guys because these trailers got me super hyped for these titles to eventually release. And then the big talking point for today's video is when can we actually expect Nintendo to give us an official announcement around a September Nintendo Direct, and is it still in the conversation for this week, or should we now set our sights to a later date? What's up, Nation? If it's your first time on the channel, make sure you join Sunbro Nation by subscribing below, hit the like button on this video if you enjoy it today, and make sure you turn on your bell notification icon so you're kept up to date with all the newest gaming news. Now, as I mentioned, guys, we're covering a couple different stories today, the first of which are a couple exciting indie games that until today, when I was doing some research for what news we were going to be talking about, I did not know about at all. And I got to tell you, both of these trailers got me hyped for the releases of these games, one of which will be out sooner than the other. But the first one that I want to talk about is one by the name of Jack Axe, and that is a single or multiplayer 2D open world adventure style game. It does seem to have a lot of fast action platforming, which has kind of stuck out to me. I do tend to like games like that. And then it also, of course, has, your combat and action, and your, the whole theme of this game is that, your main character has her axe as her primary weapon. And it does look like this has some Norse mythology type of inspiration to the game. But like I said, I had no clue about this game until today. It wasn't on my radar at all. And it does appear that this will be releasing on the Switch eShop on October 27th, so just a little over a month and a half away before you can pick up this title. So let me know in the comments down below if you guys like the gameplay that you see from Jack Axe, and then if you do plan on picking this up on its October 27th release on the Switch. Now, the next game that was a surprise to me that I guess has been circulating around, but I did not see it pop up on my news feeds anywhere, and that is actually a Kickstarter title by the name of Spindle that has been in development for 4 years. It does appear that it was a self-funded project, but from maybe a single developer. I don't know if he had additional help, but I did watch this gameplay trailer, and it definitely aims to be kind of a Zelda-esque throwback. Whenever you talk about 2D Zelda open adventure games, it looks like they're definitely trying to do that. And then the whole theme around this game is that you are playing with the Grim Reaper, or Death himself, as your main protagonist, and then you do have a companion of a pig. So what a creative combination there. But I watched the gameplay for this, and it was one, again, that I did not personally hear of before. They have apparently on their Kickstarter have raised like 59,000 pounds for the project overall. And while I don't know that there's an exact release date right now, it is officially slated to come to the Nintendo Switch. So I definitely will have my eye on this game, as anything that is kind of a Zelda-esque or Zelda-inspired 2D open adventure game does tend to get me excited to at least, check out if there's a demo available, or I'll watch online for reviews to see if there are good reviews for games like this, because I do always enjoy playthroughs, even if they're smaller indie titles. And if you do back the Kickstarter, there was apparently a free demo that you can actually enjoy right now. So I don't know that I'll do that myself, but I definitely will keep my eye on this as we get closer to an eventual release on the Switch eShop. Now, from there, guys, the big discussion point of today's video is really the overall likelihood of the chances of us seeing a Nintendo Direct still happen this week. And I do gotta say, at the time of filming this video, it is late in the afternoon on Tuesday, September 7th, and it doesn't look likely that this week is the week. Now, could Nintendo still drop a surprise announcement tomorrow morning and then hold it on a Thursday? Yes, that is possible, but the one thing I want to put out there for that messaging is that Sony is holding their big PlayStation showcase, which is basically becoming their annual E3 level event where they reveal major things like new game announcements. And it appears that there is a lot of stacked announcements that are going to take place at that event. And historically, Nintendo would not go on the same day as another gaming event that's happening, such as a PlayStation showcase, when you have all the gaming websites picking up those new announcements and stories and writing articles and tweeting out about them. And Nintendo does tend to like to have their own spotlight. Now, a big reason that a lot of Nintendo fans were watching for this week, myself included, is that you had some speculation around the fact that Monolith Soft, which is a developer for Nintendo, specifically around they helped for Breath of the Wild and the sequel to Breath of the Wild, and then they actually are responsible for the Xenoblade Chronicles series. And it was recently leaked by a voice actress that works on that game that there will for sure be a third installment. Then you had other sources come out and back that up and say, in fact, it's around the corner and would have been released in 2021, but it was pushed back due to work from home and pandemic environment work requirements. And now we are waiting for some kind of release for that. Well, then you had an official announcement from Monolith Soft that on their website would be going down for maintenance on September 8th, which is tomorrow, which got a bunch of people talking and speculating the fact that maybe this is the big update to the website, getting it ready for a Xenoblade Chronicles 3 media push. And it does line up with the fact that we could see that happen. I mean, it's just something that you wouldn't expect Nintendo to just Twitter drop a Xenoblade Chronicles 3 trailer, as this is a massive game for the Switch fan base. And I do think that they would feature something like that title at a Nintendo Direct. That got a bunch of people talking, not to mention the fact that we just typically see Nintendo hold these Direct presentations in September earlier in the month. As if you guys don't remember, even just last year when we had basically everything wrecked with the pandemic, we still got a Mario themed Direct for the 35th anniversary. And then we also had a Direct Mini, which outlined some other games as, you know, we were approaching the holiday season for the Switch, and all the companies want to tell you why you should go buy their consoles and their games as we approach the holiday season. As we just know, that's when retail shopping goes up through the roof, and a bunch of new people will be getting new Switches, and you got to know which games to look forward to. So it does make sense that Nintendo will hold a Direct this month. Historically, they always have. I mean, the last 7-8 years you look at, they've held it. They skipped over 2015 for whatever reason, but literally every year outside of that, you have had a Direct in the month of September. But while I am now leaning towards more the fact that maybe we're not seeing it this week, you then have to start to look to next week, because besides the rumors around Xenoblade Chronicles 3 being potentially unveiled at the Direct, you also have what we know to expect, which is a new Smash character DLC reveal, which would make perfect sense for Nintendo to reveal it at this event, as that's just typically how they've always followed that. We got the last reveal obviously at the E3 Nintendo Direct, and it was about time for them to do the final character and send off the Smash DLC updates. And of course, something like that would probably take place at a September Nintendo Direct. You also have all of the heavy rumors and speculation around the fact, and even really leaks at this point, I would call it, basically stating that Nintendo Switch Online is around the corner from a major upgrade. We saw Nintendo originally release the Nintendo Switch Online service in September of 2018. We then got a major update to it in the form of the SNES library of games being added in the next year in 2019. And then of course in 2020, we had no major updates for Nintendo Switch Online other than just, you know, the drip feed cycle of new games being added in. And it's very clear that Nintendo in their investor meetings have claimed numerous times that they plan to continue to upgrade and update the service to make it more enticing for new subscribers to sign up and for existing subscribers to stay subscribed. And with all of this, like where there's smoke, there's fire type situation with this Game Boy and Game Boy Color systems coming to the Switch. And then you had Eurogamer go out there and say that not only are those two systems for sure coming, but there's other retro consoles on the card. And to further back that up, you have, you know, from 2019, there was data miners that found 4 emulators in the Nintendo Switch's firmware, only 2 of which are being utilized, one for the NES and one for the SNES. Game Boy and Game Boy Color run on their own emulator. So then there's a mystery emulator that we don't know about. My personal prediction is that that's probably Game Boy Advance. Maybe they surprise us and throw us a curveball with something like an N64 reveal. But I do think with the way that Nintendo has been promoting the Metroid titles leading up to Dread, and they've been specifically saying like play through the 1 through 4 Metroid games when you can't do that on the Switch right now, it does make a lot of sense that, you know, we could be around the corner from those classic handheld systems being added to NSO. So as I said, now that we're late into the day on Tuesday, September 7th, without an announcement, it's less likely this week because, again, they would have to hold it on the same day as the Sony PlayStation Showcase, because Fridays just historically never happen. It's not a day that Nintendo likes to hold directs. I would very much expect this event to take place Tuesday through Thursday, and it could be either any of those days. Wednesday is oftentimes a perfect day. So, you know, my prediction right now, as it stands with all the new information we have, would be that I would be watching for Nintendo to make an announcement officially for Nintendo Direct 2 days before the event. That could take place as soon as next Monday, and then we would be looking at a Wednesday event, or maybe they announce it on Tuesday and we get it on the following Thursday. So those are kind of the new dates that I'm going to have stacked on my radar. I know sometimes people get worn out around the speculation of when are we going to get a Nintendo Direct. I mean, myself included, it's talked about all the time online, and I totally get that. But as a Nintendo Switch fan, I'm super hyped for it, so I do enjoy talking about it with you guys, and it's fun for me to speculate around when we might see this just based off history. I think it's going to happen this month. I do have my hopes set high that we will at least see some kind of presentation, even if it's a mini showcase for whatever reason. Nintendo's going to want to hype up those titles that we already know are coming, such as Mario Party Superstars and all of the other Q4 titles that we know are slated for release this year that Nintendo's going to want to showcase again before the holiday season. And then in addition to that, you just have some outlier announcements that are being talked about. We heard a lot of rumors around E3 that there was some kind of Donkey Kong 2.5D or 3D that was in the works, and I do think that this would be an event to maybe showcase something like that. My personal hope as a Zelda fan, I'm holding out hope that maybe there's another port that we don't know about that's coming through. At this point, I would personally be shocked if we get some kind of 35th anniversary blowout collection pack like was heavily rumored leading into the E3 Direct, but I do think that it's still highly likely that eventually we see games like Wind Waker HD and Twilight Princess HD ported over to the Switch, as those are just two Wii U titles that are basically done that can easily be moved to the Switch, and I think Nintendo's just going to place those titles when it makes the most sense for them to do so. I would be very surprised if we see something like a Breath of the Wild 2 trailer update there, as you know, we just got one at E3. It didn't seem like the game was quite far along enough for them to even reveal things like the title, and we didn't really see a lot of what the game's actually going to have to offer. We got a very nice trailer, but in terms of raw information of what's going to take place in this Breath of the Wild sequel from a story perspective and just from like the title of the game, like we're still in the dark on all of that stuff. You know, and then from there, we could see something like a 3D Kirby announcement. Like there's a lot of stuff that could happen at this event. I don't think it's all taking place at the September Direct. I think Nintendo splits it up as they typically do with the games that are first around the corner. And then, you know, they historically hold another Direct in February, and we'll probably see more updates on the early 2022 games when we get around to that time after the holiday season. So it's all up for debate right now when we're going to see this September Nintendo Direct, but at this point in the video, guys, I want to know all your thoughts and opinions on everything we talked about today. Are you interested in either of the indie titles that I covered here, and do you think you'll be picking either one of them up at release? And then the big thing I want to hear from you on is, when do you personally predict that we will get a Nintendo Direct, or do you think all the information out there is just blatantly wrong and you really think that Nintendo will be skipping over the Direct this month? So I do look forward to hearing from you guys in the comments down below, as I do look forward to getting a back and forth conversation started with you all around this topic. Thanks so much for watching the video today, everyone. I do truly appreciate you all sticking around until the end. I do at this point in the video want to invite you all one more time to join Sunbro Nation if you haven't done so already. Do so by subscribing below, hit the like button on your way out if you enjoyed it today, and make sure you turn on your bell notification icon so you're kept up to date with all the newest gaming news. That's going to do it for me, guys. I hope you all have a great day. Sunbro Nation, out.